Hey, do you ever feel like you're just stuck? Like totally and completely stuck in life? Like you're at a job that's going nowhere and you just don't see light at the end of the tunnel and you feel like you're just spinning your wheels, spinning, and nothing is actually getting done. And you feel like, when is this gonna end? When do things turn around for me? What is the deal? And you just feel a little deflated and things just don't seem hopeful for you. Do you feel that way? Because I know that feeling. I know what that's like. You know, I work in news, and one of the stations I used to work at here in San Diego recently shut down. Like the whole company shut down. Tons of employees out of work. So what are they going to do? You know, and I saw the writing on the wall, so I left a while back, a couple years ago now. But all those people, they're out of work now. And I know that situation is going on all over the place. And there are a lot of people stuck in jobs that they hate. There's no passion there. They just absolutely despise their jobs. Or whatever situation they're stuck in, there's like, it just seems hopeless. So if that's something you can relate to, stick around, because I have a little analogy for you and I want to share something. It was actually a little bit of a life lesson for me this morning, kind of an aha moment. So in the morning, I blend up my breakfast and I like to use my Vitamix. And it's been there for me. It's been the go-to thing. It's powerful, it's strong, it's got a great name, a great image, and it was fantastic. But then there was a little bit of a glitch in the system. It was spinning its wheels, it was burning out the motor, and I was like, okay, we need to do something about this. So I sent it in for repairs. It came back, and you know what? It just came back in this beautiful handy dandy Vitamix box, packaged up all nicely, even though I sent it back to them in a real kind of ghetto box. Wasn't pretty. But they sent it back nicely wrapped. It looks good on the outside. I unwrap it and I was really excited to use it. Well, guess what? It didn't work. It was still in bad shape. It was still burning out the motor. And something that was supposed to take about 30 seconds to do, blending up a breakfast, all these good ingredients that go into it, it just wasn't working. The 30-second job would sometimes take 15 minutes. Literally, I'm not even kidding. It would work and not work. Work, not work. I was like, what is going on? So the repair should have worked. Didn't work. Came back just as busted as when I sent it. So Vitamix, we need to have a talk. But that's beside the point. But you know what? I'm a smart girl. I have a backup plan. And so I had this. Ta-da! A backup blender that I could use in my life. Because the Vitamix, which I thought was there for me, was not. It wasn't Old Faithful. I thought it would be, but no, not so much. Now, I do still expect it to get fixed at some point, but I don't want to count on it. I don't want to depend on the Vitamix working for my life for the rest of my days. Because what if it doesn't? What if it shuts down? What if Vitamix, like that company I used to work for, shuts down completely? And I can't send it in for repairs. Then what, right? So it's good to have that backup plan. And that's what my little backup blender does. But there was a little hole in my plan, a little hole. Because although I could put all the great ingredients into the blender, the hole in the plan was this. Literally a hole. Because here's the lid, and it's supposed to work great, but you know the little doodad that typically goes in here? I couldn't find it. Now, mind you, this was the backup blender. It was the backup plan, so I was thinking, okay, it's got to be here somewhere, but, you know, I can't fault myself for having lost it. I did a little bit, but I was thinking, okay, it's not that big of a deal, because guess what? I'm a smart girl. I can figure things out. Yeah, I've always been able to do that. I've been the person that figures things out. Well, I did. So I put all the good contents into my backup blender. That was great. And I had the lid with the hole in it, but then I also found a handy dandy Ziploc bag, a giant one. And so I was able to use that to patch things up. Now, take a look. It was ghetto fabulous. Now does it look pretty? No, not really. But did it get the job done? Yeah, it did. And I was really excited about that because I thought, aha, it's going to keep all the good contents in there. And it kept all the good stuff in there. It blended it up real nicely. It didn't take 10, 15, 20 minutes like my Vitamix does, because that is a little janky right now. It's just not working for me. Little ghetto Vitamix. So even though it came back in the pretty box, it wasn't working. But my old faithful, this old backup plan was working for me. And yeah, I had to get creative, and I had to MacGyver something together. And I realized saying MacGyver in general sort of ages me, and that's okay, because that just means experience. But yeah, I have a backup plan because I set myself up that way. I didn't toss out the old one when I got the new one. Now, but do you have a backup plan? Because that's important too with life, right? With jobs. I think about that position, or the position that all these people are in, with the company that shut down, the TV station that shut down. And as somebody who works on TV, it's scary when you're out of a job, because how many of those positions are around? Think about it. Think about a city, the city you live in. How many people do that one particular job? Maybe one or two people at that station. How many meteorologists are in town? How many of them have a job in your entire city? There are very few of these kinds of jobs around. So when those jobs sort of go away, then what? And it's not just these TV jobs, it's not just news jobs, it's any job. Some people just aren't happy in their careers. They feel stuck. They're not making enough money. It's just time that's wasted. The commute is ridiculous. I was working in LA recently, and I was commuting half hour in the middle of the night to get to work, but sometimes 2 hours on the way back just to get back from work. That is a waste of my life. 2.5 hours a day of commuting outside of the full work day, and having to wake up at 2 in the morning to go to work, like just bananas. And trading time for money, like all of that, it has to really be worth it. So are things working out for you? Is your job worth it? Do you love it? Because if so, that is amazing. That's fabulous. I'm so happy for you. But if it's not working out for you, if you're not able to make it work, if you feel like you're missing out on life, if you feel like you're missing out on the lives of the people in your life, family, friends, or maybe just some of the things you want to do. What do you like to do? Do you like crafting? Do you like boating? Do you like sailing? Do you like doing sports? Do you like watching movies? Do you like cooking? What is it? What are your hobbies and interests? What if you could do those things more often? What if you could travel more often? What if you could sit around and do nothing more often? Wouldn't that be great? What would it look like for you? What would your life look like if you could do the things you wanted to do instead of doing the things you absolutely had to do just to make ends meet? Because that is not a great situation. A lot of people get depressed doing that for the rest of your life. You know, it just isn't an ideal scenario. And the more I learn about other people's jobs and careers, I realize, wow, how sad. You know, it's really sad when you don't have a backup plan. So what is your backup plan? Do you have one? If you don't, I would love to talk to you about it, because everybody should have a backup plan. Everybody can create something for themselves. Everybody can work from home, work from the beach, work while on vacation, where it doesn't feel like work. Wouldn't that be amazing? How would that feel for you? What would your life look like if you didn't have to go into work, and you didn't have to sit at that desk for 8 hours, and you didn't have to punch in and punch out and do all of that just to get a measly paycheck and feel like you're missing out on the lives of your kids? Right? Or maybe you're single and you're thinking, it would be nice to meet somebody. It would be great to date. It would be great to meet your forever partner, right? But when? When do you get to do that? When you're so busy and exhausted from the crazy job you have that you don't love. If you love your job, awesome. It's still good to have a backup plan, because what happens if you get injured? Or what happens when life changes? A lot of my friends, the minute they had kids, they were able to shift things. They were able to change their jobs. They were able to change things in their lives because they had a backup plan. But I also have plenty of friends who did not have a backup plan. And the minute the kids came along, life drastically changed for them. It's not what they anticipated. It's not what they planned. They made it work. But it's not what was ideal for their lives. And so that's what I do. I help people with their backup plan. Maybe you want to switch. Maybe you can switch into something where you can work from home. Maybe the idea of being an entrepreneur seems scary to you. Maybe it just seems so far-fetched. You're like, what? I can't even imagine it because I don't even understand it. I get that. I understand that. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I've had brick and mortar businesses. I've worked online. I've done a variety of things. But the reality is, working for yourself is great. And the reason is, you're the boss. You control the narrative. You're not dependent on a company that may or may not go out of business. You're not dependent on someone else coming in and taking your job. I've been in situations where things like that have happened to me. And it's not pleasant. It really isn't. And sometimes it's a situation you just can't control. Because a lot of things are in your control. You could be doing a great job. You could be amazing. They could love you at the job. But if the company goes under, if it gets bought out, or whatever, or maybe you make too much money there, and so they hire somebody else who's willing to do the job for half the price. That sort of thing is happening a lot lately. So, what is your backup plan? Do you have one? I want you to really think about that. If you don't have one, we should talk about it. Or if you have a backup plan that's not really working out really well for you, we could talk about that too. So that's something I help people do. My name's Kimmy Evans, and I help people with their backup plans. In the past, and over 15 years now, I've been helping people with their on-camera presentations and helping people get comfortable and be relatable on camera. So I used to be a casting director, and I've been in the sales business, and I've also been on camera. I work in broadcasting, and I've been doing that for about a decade. But before that, I was in sales, and before that, I was a casting director. So I've done a lot of coaching and mentoring, whether it's helping people get on TV and get a job on TV, or helping them start their businesses. That's something I've been helping people with for over 15 years. And I love it. It's fun. And it makes me feel like I'm doing something to add to someone else's life. I want to help people. I love helping people. I love volunteering. But you know what? When I get to help people and get paid at the same time, that's like a win-win. And wouldn't that be amazing for you too? And I run across a lot of people who don't realize that they have something they can offer. But the reality is, you do. You have a skill that other people would pay you for. You may not realize it, but you do. You have something you can sell. You have something you can do to help others where they will pay you. And how amazing would that be if that's something you got to do instead of going to a job that you hated? And hey, I don't encourage people to just give up their jobs and expect to make it overnight, because there's a process to it. But it's not impossible. In fact, it's very possible, and you can do it. And I just think everybody should have a backup plan, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen in life, right? Things happen that you just don't expect. And then what are you going to do? So if you're someone who wants that, if you're someone who wants a backup plan, if you're someone who wants to at least chat about it, let's get on the phone, let's talk about it. I do obviously charge for my services, and it's not cheap. But what is your future worth to you? I don't charge a crazy amount. It's got to be worth my time, because there's only one of me. But the reality is, Are you willing to invest in your future? Are you willing to do something to change the narrative for your life? How do you want to be living your life in 5 years, 10 years, 1 year? Where do you want to be in a year? What would it look like to you if life was just different? If you didn't have to go into your job, but you had created something on the side that now replaces your income from your job, so you don't actually have to go to the job that you don't love. What would that do for you, for your time, for your lifestyle? Doesn't that just sound so much better than having to clock in and out at the job that you are not in love with? Because you just never know how things are going to work out. Oftentimes we think life is going to come wrapped up in this beautiful box and everything's going to work out the way we anticipated, just like that Vitamix box when I shipped mine right back out to go get fixed. Well, guess what? It didn't come back the way I anticipated. It was packaged up nicely, but it wasn't what I needed in my life, because I needed a blender that worked for my life. You know, I didn't need the contents spilling out all over the place. I didn't need the motor just burning, going. Because guess what happens? You burn out. Just like a motor on a blender will burn out, you can burn out at a job. And I know a lot of people who are burnt out. They are over it. Just over it. So don't let yourself be stuck in a situation. You know, make sure you have a backup plan. Make sure you have something that you can fall back on. Because I would hate for anyone to be stuck forever. Because that's forever, that stuck feeling. Well, although that can change if you were to then lose the job, then all of a sudden the thing where you just hated and felt like you were just stuck in suddenly even looks good when you no longer have the job. So I really want you to think about it, consider it, and realize that there are other options for your life. You don't have to be stuck forever. You really don't. There are so many ways to get out of it. There's so many options. You can use the talents and the skills that you have, and trust me, you have them. You do. A lot of people have no clue that this world has so many options for us. Do you even know that online education is the second fastest growing industry next to tech? And I will tell you, I am not tech fabulous. I'm always like, what the tech? What is that? I get tech overwhelmed, and I don't know a lot about technology in general. I know enough, but I don't know a lot about it. So I don't necessarily see myself growing with the tech industry. But what I do know about myself and what I can do is help people. I love helping people, and I know how to educate and coach people. So that's what I do. And that's something you can do as well. You can sell things online too. Maybe coaching isn't your thing, but maybe you can sell a product online. There are so many options. But you can take your expertise, or even if you're not an expert, you can take your knowledge and you can turn it into a viable business. You can. Believe me, it's possible. So if this is something you're interested in, let me know, and I will talk to you and I will help you with it. All right? So let's figure this out together. Let's get your life on the right track. All right, I hope you all have a very blessed day.